So I've already applied my moisturizer. I use the Neutrogena oil-free moisture with SPF 15 and the L'Oreal Revitalift Magic Blur. And I'm just going to apply some Benefit POREfessional into my pores. And I'm going to take the Maybelline Fit Me Shine Free Stick Foundation. I'm in the shade 115. And you don't really get a lot of product. This retails for, I believe it was $15.95. And as you can see in the middle, it just has this circle in the middle, which I believe is the ingredient that is supposed to prevent shine. And then you get the foundation on the outside of the stick. So I'm just going to apply this all over. Pretty much just coloring in my face. It does feel very like thick, which I'm not really a fan of. It kind of just, it definitely feels like a stick foundation. So I recommend that you blend it in with your fingers. So I'm going to do one side with my fingers. It's kind of like a moussey sort of texture. It does even out the skin pretty well. I'm not really a fan of the whole rubbing this into my face though. My skin's been breaking out really bad lately. And this is covering them up decently actually. I can still see some freckles around the outside of my face. I can still see a tiny bit of redness from my blemishes, but nothing too much. You know, I could just put this on and I'd be fine with that. I'm going to try blending it in with the E.L.F Stipple brush. I'm just not a fan of using my fingers. I don't really want to get my fingers dirty and then go touching other products and the foundation gets on them. I just think that's just a big mess. And it does blend in nicely with the stippling brush. Even blending it in with your fingers, you know, it doesn't really come out streaky or anything. I mean, it blends in pretty nicely with your fingers and with the brush. So you can still see some of the blemishes on my forehead and around my chin area. I'm just going to apply another layer. The finish so far is kind of just like a satin, dewy satin finish. I'm just going to use the brush. It definitely gives it a lot more coverage. But I can still see some of my blemishes peeking through. It definitely doesn't give the appearance of like flawless skin, if you get what I'm saying. You know, I mean, from far away it looks really nice. It makes my skin look very, very natural and sort of fresh looking. I mean, it's not dewy, but it's not like matte or anything. It's kind of like a dewy satin. But up close I can still sort of see all the bumps in my skin. It doesn't really smooth the skin out. It's quick though. It applies great with fingers and it applies great with the brush. You know, it blends in really easily with your fingers. For $15, I think it's not that bad. So I'm just going to finish the rest of my makeup, apply some concealer and eyeshadow and whatnot, and I'm going to let this sit on my skin for a while and see how it goes after the next 10 minutes or so, so I'll be right back. Alrighty guys, so I just finished doing the rest of my makeup, and this foundation's had about 15 to 20 minutes to set. I'm just going to have a quick look at it. It actually does look really, really nice. For a $15 Maybelline foundation, I think it looks really, really gorgeous. It has a really nice dewy dewy satin finish, you know. It's nothing too oily or too like powdery looking. It looks really, really nice. I'll just zoom you in a little. It looks really, really nice. I think it blends in really, really evenly and really easily. I think it's really, really nice, and it does a decent job at covering my blemishes. I did use a bit of concealer on them though, just to cover them a bit more, but it still looks really, really nice. I did notice that it does kind of sink into the pores around my nose area. Like, you can actually see the foundation in my pores if you look really, really closely. So if you're someone with large pores, I definitely recommend using a pore filler. Even though I did use the POREfessional, it is an amazing pore filler, but I think this is just so creamy in texture that it's just going to sink into them anyway. So be careful if you do have large pores. But other than that, I really like the finish of it. I really like how it looks. It doesn't feel like I'm not wearing anything. It definitely feels like I'm wearing foundation. It doesn't feel cakey or anything though. It just kind of feels like just like sticky. When I touch it, it doesn't feel sticky, it doesn't feel tacky or anything, but I can just imagine, like, if I went and hugged someone or I just scratched my face, that this would just completely rub off. I can definitely see that happening. I think the whole stick formula thing, it just is so creamy. But I really do like it, and I think it's really, really nice for $15. So I'm going to wear this for the rest of the day, and I will check back in a little while to let you guys know how it's holding up. Hey guys, so it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon now, and I've been wearing this since about 8:30 in the morning. So I've been wearing it for about 5.5 hours now. At about 11, I touched up with some powder. I just used the MAC Pepper and Prime. I just feel like my nose area was just too oily for my liking, and I can see it coming back again. So I'm just going to touch up with some powder just around the nose, using the MAC Pepper and Prime again. A bit oily on the apples of the cheeks and the forehead and the chin. So I've noticed that some of the foundation has come off around my chin. It's been pretty hot the past hour or so, so I have been like sweating a little bit, but I haven't been doing like any strenuous exercise or anything. It definitely feels like I'm wearing foundation still. It doesn't feel very natural. I feel like I am sort of I feel oily, if that makes sense. But still, the foundation has held up pretty well. It's only moved off a bit from my chin. I haven't been like touching my face or anything, maybe just like holding my chin up or something. So it's pretty common for my foundation on my chin to actually come off. And I can definitely see all of my pores on my face as well. But other than that, I mean, it seems pretty good. I feel like my forehead is sort of worn off a little bit. I can see some of my freckles coming through in there. But, I mean, for 5.5 hours, it's not doing too bad. You know, it hasn't completely worn off. It still looks kind of fresh. I do look a bit oily, but, I mean, powder can fix that easily enough. I'm going to just use it to just touch up on my chin, actually. I'm going to take my E.L.F Stipple brush. Yeah, and that fixed it easily enough. Yeah, that fixed it easily enough. I'm just going to apply some more powder over that. But, yeah, I definitely do feel oily in my T-zone. I feel like maybe using a powder that has a bit of coverage in it. The MAC Pepper and Prime is a translucent powder. But so far so good. I mean, it's not the best looking in the world, you know. I have other foundations that have looked better after 5.5 hours, but so far it's held up pretty good. Only a little bit worn off on my chin. I do look and feel a bit oily. And yeah, so I'm going to keep this on a bit longer and I'll check back with you soon. Hey guys, so I'm back for a final update on the Maybelline Fit Me foundation. So far I've been wearing it for about 8.5 hours, I believe. It is now 2025. So looking at the foundation now, it's definitely worn off a lot around my forehead and temple area. It's definitely worn off again on my chin. Around the edges of my nose are really, really oily. I'd definitely say the foundation has worn off quite a lot. It doesn't look patchy or anything like that, but up close, you know, it just looks really greasy around my nose area. It's still not as bad though. It hasn't gotten worse, but it's still sunk into my pores when you look at it really closely. The coverage is definitely faded a tiny amount. You know, it's not something that I'm completely upset about. You know, it still covers most of my freckles and blemishes and whatnot. I'd say the colour was actually a pretty good match. So my final verdict on this foundation, I think it's great. I think it has a really, really nice finish. I think it has a medium to buildable coverage. I think it has more of like a dewy satin finish. It's not so much like a really dewy, or it's not really matte. It's sort of dewy satin finish. I don't think this is the foundation you'd want to buy if you were looking for something that has a really great longevity. You know, you don't have to fuss with it as much. If it was up to me, I would have touched up like 5 or 6 times throughout the day. But I mean, for $15.95, it's not that bad, you know. The pros of it is that it blends in really, really nicely. You can use your fingers. You can use just a cheap stippling brush that you can get. I think it's a good foundation, you know. I think someone with dry skin would really, really like this foundation. I'm more oily just in my T-zone area, really oily around my nose mostly, and my forehead. So I think someone with severely oily skin might not like this as much, or you might want to use a mattifying powder or something like that, or even a mattifying setting spray. But I don't give this a thumbs down. I think it has, I think it's a perfect foundation for someone if you know you're just going to the shops for a couple of hours, or it's just not the type of foundation if you want the whole longevity out of it. But it is really nice looking. Although it does sink into the pores really easily, but I think it's a good cheap foundation. So if you're thinking about trying it, I say give it a go. It's not horrible, it's not the world's best stick foundation, but I think for the product it's worth the price and it's worth a shot. So I hope you all enjoyed my first impression. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you like first impressions like this, whether or not you want like a first impression and then like a couple of days later I'll let you know how the foundation's going or not. But yeah, I'd love to know in the comments if that's what you prefer, or just an actual first impression. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope it was really informative for you, and I hope you have an idea of if you want to try it or not. Don't forget to check the links below for any websites that I'll have, or any of my social media sites. Follow me on Instagram. I post a photo on there every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and share this video, and I will see you on my next one. Bye.
Devil.